Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Botter, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show. Yo, Shortbox Nation. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. And new listeners joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. My name is Botter, and you're now tuned into a special Unlocked Patreon episode this week. Many of you longtime listeners know that we offer a Patreon subscription where you can support the show for as little as $1 a month. And that's because every penny goes a long way in helping us keep the lights on here at the Shortbox studio. And that's in exchange for bonus content and a whole lot of other awesome perks. But new listeners might not know about a bonus spin-off podcast that we launched 2 years ago called Pilot's License. It's a series dedicated to the best comic book cartoons and animated shows. The audio you're about to hear is actually from the Justice League Unlimited episode of that series that originally dropped on our Patreon back in August. So if you're a fan of great comic book cartoons like Justice League Unlimited, or Batman Beyond, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Spawn, or any other great animated show from mine and probably your childhood, consider becoming a Patreon subscriber for access to the entire Pilot's License series. We just dropped an episode about the 1994 Spider-Man animated cartoon, and you know which one I'm talking about because the theme song is probably running through your head right now. Check the show notes for a link to that episode as well as our Patreon page. With that out of the way, how about we get this episode started right now, and I'll catch y'all next week, all right? Peace.
Has the other podcast logo on the seat. Yeah.
That says property of next.
Why my ass is itching right now. Guys, I got no time. I think I'm gonna give you all September off. Meanwhile, there's like 5 new podcasts that came out. All with Botter's face.
A whole new network.
Oh, shit.
Podcast
It's
network.
POW Entertainment, true believer. That joke is never gonna get old to me. It makes me laugh so
I
hard.
really hope it does.
Do you know why? Because you didn't see it coming.
I guess
like,
I didn't, yeah.
You were
Much like you guys didn't see the betrayal coming, I didn't see the jokes.
No, that's the thing. We did see it
I
because
did
you
see it
decided to
coming.
post it on
For
Facebook.
sure, yeah.
I feel like
You
I
were
also
like,
told you guys.
guys,
I know I'm doing this.
You know I'm doing a
Sure.
podcast.
Sure
Also, it's hard to do 2 at the same time. Can somebody help me, please? Everybody's like, "You're a hero, Botter. You can do it, buddy."
Oh, I'm just trying to
Enabling your betrayal.
It's all right.
You can do it,
Oh
buddy.
man, damn. I had a few people hit me up like, "Hey, is everything okay with the short box?" Seem pretty upset about this new adventure.
Yeah, I've been sowing seeds of dissent everywhere I
Oh
go.
shit, that's funny.
I'd be like, "Bottom Milligan, He ain't paid his fucking child support since 2002.
You know him? You know where he lives?
Yeah, tell me where he's at. Smooth ass Moroccan motherfucker, leaving me hanging.
All right, here we
You
go.
know his skin shines.
Yo, he can't hide forever.
You know he's beautiful. Try to leave me. Love it and leave him, Potter Milligan.
No one ever talks about Ashley's other podcast. Ashley, you were on other podcasts.
I just do
There's a difference
audio
between-
reviews.
There's a difference between being
Audio
on-
reviews, really? That's how you get away with this?
That's semantics.
Audio
That's
reviews,
awesome.
okay.
Yeah. Ashley's like, I don't podcast so much as I audio review.
And the podcast is in a different zip code, so it's all right. It's not cheating.
Wait, seriously?
Zip code.
How have I never
You
heard
have a
about
secret
this?
family then.
Is this real?
This is just a
Well,
secret
yeah.
family.
Technically, we all live in separate zip codes.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Thank you.
Hold on. Ashley, every time
Wait.
Potter says, "Do you have anything to plug?" It's just this.
Exactly. Meanwhile, in the back of her head, she's like, "Fuck y'all. Y'all ain't getting the free, the free
Do you really
advertising."
do audio reviews?
Yeah, the Comic News Insider one in New York City
yeah.
that Jimmy does.
Jimmy? Okay,
yeah.
good guy.
I do one of those every week, one or two.
Really? I didn't know you were still consistently doing it.
Yeah.
We got to talk about this.
Yeah,
on
this
the
is
show.
insane.
Yeah, I did not
Hold
know
on.
that. Okay.
Breach of
Yeah, let's
contract?
all hate on Ashley this episode. Is that okay?
Yeah, now it is.
I do it for the free Comixology
Fucking mom and dad
password.
both.
Nice. In exchange for audio reviews,
Uh-huh.
free Comixology password.
Yeah.
That's not a bad deal.
That's not a bad deal at all. I don't blame you.
Actually, I
cheated on you guys for way less.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
I was like, I commend your branching out. But Potter, you're a piece of shit.
Wait.
Yeah.
What about the other podcast that you were on, right? There was another one.
There was one about friendship and not betraying
That one
your
ended in
friends.
like 7 episodes.
I'm trying to think. I think that was it.
No,
I think
no,
it was
I-
just there's another
And I'm
one.
not trying to dig at you. I remember you had mentioned like when we won the best podcast, like the first time, you had mentioned that on another show. And you were
Swamp
like, oh,
Ape.
the
Swamp
co-hosts
Ape
were
one?
like, oh, Ashley, her other podcast won this award. And then they quickly like just went through it.
Oh, that's right. Too Many Comics.
Mm.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to them?
I don't know. They don't call anymore.
Oh.
You know what happened? Ashley's like, I never
killed
heard
him.
from those guys. And Potter's like sitting here, like lighting a cigarette. They got fucking masking tape and they're in a car, like,
Oh, no.
He's like, it's too bad you didn't find a more reliable way of transportation. And he just puts like a cinder block on the gas pedal off of here.
Oh.
Lights a cigarette, walks away.
Oh, man.
Looks like it was too many
crazy.
comics for you.
You know, I would say some corny shit like that. So, spot on.
And then he's like, hey, Ashley, gonna need you Saturday. You're available, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to have to check out Comic News Insider.
Uh-oh.
What's Jimmy's address?
Home address.
I'm kidding. Shout
Hey,
out to
you know what? I really want to support Ashley. What's his social security number?
Ashley's like, well, it's 5 now. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Yo, short box
Stupid.
patrons. Y'all love it. Y'all love it, though. Welcome to the 8th episode of our bonus podcast series,
Kill me.
Pilot's License.
Kill me, please.
AKA Kill Me, because we're doing this on our free day. Pilot's License is a series that finds us revisiting the pilot episode of classic comic book cartoons and animated shows, as well as a related first issue of its comic counterpart. But you guys knew this by now, because this is a Patreon exclusive series, meaning that only the Shortbox Elite, aka those that are giving us their fucking money, get access to this show. But you know what? We do appreciate it because that means you're an active Patreon subscriber and your contributions and support are really appreciated. Because with you guys, we're able to do not only our weekly episodes, but bonus content like this one. We don't take your support lightly.
And if you
Sorry.
see anyone that isn't a Patreon subscriber, but they listen to the show, as an elite member, I expect you to step on their fucking turkey neck. Just step on it. Just use a boot and just step on it.
I'm talking to you, David Morales.
Oh my God. David Morales is going to step on people's necks?
Yep.
I feel like
He's a land baron. We can't have that happen. He's fucking Lex Luthor in the 1970s Superman.
yeah, between
Slumlord.
I feel like I feel like if I was to look at our diehard fans and think about like who would make an awesome enforcer group, I think Nick Wagner would be at the very top because
Sure.
he's fucking intimidating.
Of course.
David Morales is kind of got like Joker vibes. Where he's
David
like very,
Morales is selling lumber to
He's
people.
like the
Oh,
and that's this fucking
True.
That's how
he's
he
kinda
rolls.
like the Red Viper, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
he's sort of like oh boy from the Harley Quinn movie. And I
completely forgot
Black
the name.
Mask?
Black Mask. That's what he kind of comes off as. And then I think Corey Torgerson would round out that enforcer group. So between them three, we need more neck stepping. A lot of turkey necks out here. Listen to the show
What
for
the
free,
fuck?
bro.
Oh my God.
You called it
Turkey necks.
these jive ass short box.
Jive ass fucking listeners. We hate y'all ass motherfuckers. Also, thank you for supporting.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for leaving those positive ratings and reviews. You guys are
All
so
of
much
you
kind.
so much. Yo, hashtag.
Yo, this is Botter. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YOO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And then I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can, and don't forget to use that discount code YOO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show.
As you guys know, we reach out to the other patrons and ask on a monthly basis, hey, what cartoon do you guys want us to spotlight? And today's topic was selected by Trey Namo back in our June poll.
Yo, Trey Namo.
Yo,
Wow.
shout out to Trey. He wrote in saying, I would love to hear a deep dive on Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, or any of the great WB 90s jams from back then. So today we'll be talking about first episode of Justice League Unlimited, titled Initiation. Originally aired in July 31st, 2004. It's directed by Joaquim Dos Santos, hope I'm saying that first name right, but he is of Avatar, The Last Airbender, and Voltron legendary Defender fame.
Oh, yeah.
This episode finds the Justice League in the middle of expanding their operations by enlisting new recruits from across the globe. Their newest member is the reluctant Green Arrow, who gets sent on a mission with Green Lantern, John Stewart specifically, Captain Atom, and Supergirl to
Wasn't
stop.
really sent on the mission. He wanted to ride home.
True, very true.
He wanted to ride home.
Very true. He's that friend that you find at the bar that, is like, yo, I can't drive. can I roll with you guys? And you're like, yeah, but I got 7
I'm in
stops.
space with a bow and an arrow. Get me the fuck home.
Yeah. And he's a little precious, too.
He's very precious. Well, he's a rich guy.
Mm.
No. All
Well,
of
he
the-
says
all
that
of
he's
the
fighting with the
queen.
small guys, remember?
Yeah.
For the small, but he's rich as fuck.
Fucking
Yeah.
poser.
Yeah.
And he's a mayor.
He's the man.
Yo, you are the establishment.
he is the man. He's fighting himself daily.
All these fat cats.
Yeah. Don't forget to vote for me next re-election. But he gets sent on a mission with Green Lantern, Captain Atom, and Supergirl to stop a giant, uncontrolled, nuclear-powered defense robot in an unnamed Asian country.
China.
That is what the description reads. I'm just reading it.
It's China. It's 1,000% China.
Yeah, 100%.
It's fucking great.
Oh, man. Now, before we begin, I do want to encourage you, though not necessary, to get a refresher on the episode. You can watch this episode and the 3 seasons of Justice League Unlimited on HBO Max, or purchase individual episodes or the season from Amazon and Apple TV.
Yeah, I bought them on Blu-ray.
And yeah, that's some super fan shit right there.
They're good.
AKA, get
And they're
with it.
cheap. Let's not
Yeah.
get it twisted.
Okay. I didn't know they were cheap.
As far as the comic pairing for this episode goes, we'll be spotlighting Justice League Infinity #1. It's a new comic, actually. It's the start of a new 7-issue limited series, co-written by Justice League Unlimited producer James Tucker and series writer J.M. DeMatteis, with art by Ethan Beavers. #1 came out July 6th and immediately picks up after the cartoon season finale from season 3. It should be readily available at your local comic shop or digital comic stores. But once again, none of this is a requirement to enjoy this episode, but that's what we'll be covering as far as the comics and episode goes. Let me start off by asking, was this anyone's first time watching it? as we all look at Ashley.
No,
Right, yeah, it's all-
yeah.
You actually watched this?
I actually watched this when it came out.
This was not a
Yeah.
cartoon that her parents hid from her.
Oh, okay.
No, I was in college when this came out. Yeah, so I had a TV and I
Got a
watched
TV.
it
Neat.
and I enjoyed it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Were you keeping up with it on a weekly basis?
I had a friend that would have it on a little zip drive and we'd watch it on a
Nice.
laptop. Yeah, and just like kind
the
of
big
catch
zip
up.
drives, like the big disc. Like
That needed a power source? It needed its own separate power source?
The iOmega
I mean, it was
zip
like
drive.
15 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, those things.
That fucking theme song needed its own zip
Man.
drive. Like,
Yeah.
bow, 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 Ashley thoughts?
That was like, yeah. Fun fact for you longtime Shortbox listeners, our champion season instrumental actually samples the Justice League Unlimited song.
Shut the fuck up.
Really?
No, wait, like, shut the fuck up.
No,
like,
I mean,
whoa,
literally,
no way.
I don't want to hear about this anymore.
It does. Shout out to Parrish for that. It's going to get a facelift here soon. So shout out to Parrish for holding us down for all these years. Does anyone know who did the music for the intro?
Not Parrish. Lolita Ritmanis is who did it, and she's known. She also did the theme for Batman Beyond. It's that
Ooh.
fucking
that's a good
techno ass
Yeah.
theme where people like
You can't just help but dance really
That's a
fucking
great intro.
slutty.
yeah. Oh my god!
Sorry.
Oh my god!
I'm sorry.
You are cut off, sir.
You were cut off the hard seltzer.
Potter's had one hard seltzer. He turns into fucking Mr. Hyde over here. Anyway, this lady's very talented, and she worked with people like Shirley Walker, who she did the theme song. Not necessarily. Danny Elfman did the theme song to Batman the Animated Series, but she
did a lot of
basically
the
did all the
episode
music after
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
And her music, in my opinion, is a little better than Danny Elfman, but whatever. He laid the
She
foundation
wasn't an
down.
Oingo Boingo, bro.
Yeah, I'm an Oingo Boingo fan,
Yeah. Me too.
big time.
I'd say the score throughout this episode was really solid. I don't think there was like one bad song or score throughout this episode.
They really like
well,
that guitar sting, though, for
Yeah.
action scenes. They go,
yeah. That's I wonder. I wonder if that's her. Like if she's just kind of like there's a whole orchestra.
She just got a wah pedal.
Yeah, and then she's just kind of like, okay, now it's my turn. Wheel, guys, rhythm and blues, B and riff, and follow me for the changes.
Actually, guys, just shut up. Let me just solo.
Yeah. Da-da-dum.
Ashley, what were you into around the time that you were watching? You said you were in college. What else were you consuming?
Yeah, I wasn't really watching that much other stuff. Like I had a lot of friends that were in like the animation department, so I'd watch like these weird like silent French animated movies that were really
Yeah, we're not
boring.
children, Potter.
But,
Jesus
like-
Christ, the age gap has never been more evident.
I do.
Get this guy out of here.
I do remember Michael Rosenbaum was doing a lot of conventions because he was voice of Flash and he
Yep.
was Lex
He's Lex
Luthor
Luthor.
on
Smallville.
Smallville. And I remember getting him to sign my Sorority Boys poster.
Is that movie good?
You define good.
Do you
Like,
enjoy it? I'll just say
yes,
that.
I
Okay.
definitely enjoyed that.
All right.
Will it
movie.
respect our time? I think that's the ultimate question.
She said she likes it, so
If
obviously.
you have a couple more, what are those called?
High noons.
High noons. Have
High
like
noons.
3 more and then put it on. I think
Whoa.
you'll enjoy it.
Okay.
I'm gonna pass out.
All right. That was another audio review from Ashley. Note to self.
Wow.
She's an alcoholic.
Your comicsology check will be in the mail. Do any episodes, and it doesn't have to be this initial one, but do any other episodes, key ones, come to mind when you think about the run that was Justice League Unlimited?
Oh, dude.
we
You
doing-
know.
Come on. I
Fucking
wanna-
epilogue, man. Epilogue. The best fucking episode of Justice League Unlimited.
Remind me and the listeners again, what was the
yeah,
epilogue
that's good.
episode?
That's the one where Terry McGinnis is a full-grown adult
Yeah.
and he's not
Mm.
young Terry from high school
Very
Batman. He's adult Batman, and he goes and he
that's
confronts
right.
Amanda Waller, and she you get so many Easter eggs.
Yeah.
She basically tells him, have you seen this episode?
Yeah.
Okay, we watched it for the show, didn't we?
No.
I feel like
That doesn't.
Maybe that's your other podcast. You
Uh-oh.
son of a bitch.
I'm only faithful to this one, Ed. Gee golly gosh. you know.
Wasn't that episode supposed to? That one was supposed to be like the
Transition
last.
to
It's the last
Batman Beyond, right?
No,
it
Batman
was-
Beyond was already on.
It was supposed to be like the
Oh,
last
already.
episode of the DC animated universe. I think it was supposed to be like the
Oh,
book into
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Because there's like a lot of scenes that pay homage to like the first episode of Batman animated series,
Right.
right? Like,
Yes.
and I think that
The
might be
ending.
what you think about.
Yeah. Yeah, we did talk about it for actually the first pilot's license, I think.
Batman Anime Series episode.
Yes. That's my
that's
favorite.
right. Okay.
That's why I was thinking that.
I
I have dementia, guys.
I know. Oh, I have two that I really like that stick with me because I don't have it on Blu-ray like Moneybags here.
The collector?
Yes, eh?
The
Yeah.
The Puerto Rican collector?
Yes, eh? Yeah, it's all in Spanish. That's the part I didn't tell you.
There's two that I remember. One was the Task Force X.
Oh, that's a good
of
one.
course.
The Suicide Squad
That
episode.
is a good
Suicide
one.
Squad, which was written by Dwayne McDuffie.
Dude, he's
No,
all over.
Jesus,
he's
he
all
really
over
is.
the series.
And then Darwin Cook did the actual screenplay, the teleplay
It's
for it.
fucking great.
That's
and,
cool. Did not know that.
But like I said, just seeing the Watchtower and seeing just like the regular Joes that work there, like, oh, they actually have a staff and HR and benefits and shit. You know, they got to talk to Superman about their 401k. That's awesome. It's like, it's a really cool introduction to, and it's funny because one of the things is like, Bruce Timm said that they wouldn't let them call them Suicide Squad just because of the suicide, the terminology. But they were always known as, that was their official designation.
I sure
Task
hope
Force
fucking
X.
Superman isn't in charge of the 401k. I want Batman to be in charge of the 401k plan. He's like, you need to invest.
Yeah, and my other favorite one, and I'm not a big Superman guy, but this is probably my favorite one with Superman, is the I think it's the second episode. It's For the Man Who Has Everything.
yes.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
That is such a good one. It's like an Alan Moore, Dave Gibbons,
And
based
he's
on that annual.
credited, and he didn't care that he was
He doesn't
credited.
care about
Who, Alan Moore?
Alan Moore. He'll
Shocker.
take his name off stuff.
Yeah, but this is it's his homies, like
Yeah.
fellow
Yeah.
artists that aren't really fucking with his shit. Like they're like,
So let Dave have
Can
the
we-
credit.
can we reference? We can reference you, right? We won't, adapt.
Well, it's like the V
reference.
for Vendetta. He just basically he took his name off the movie too.
And it's that episode, and it is episode 2 of this season 1.
Don't
It's
put
like
my
a
name on
it's
there.
like a very good, like almost like page by page
And
adaptation of the
what's
comic.
really good is you get to see Superman pretty much full throttle against Mongol. Like he's basically put into this.
Oh
like
my
you
God.
see him as like, this is my ideal life, almost like Spider-Man with House of M, where it's like, I got my ideal life.
God damn it!
Yeah, I got
Why
a
did
farm.
you show me
I
this shit?
Krypton. And the thing that's really crazy about that, because I rewatched it after watching this, and then like seeing that, his ideal life and him having to live through what he didn't live through, the destruction of Krypton, to get out of that reality from the what was it called, the Black Mercy, which sounds like a Prince album.
The Black Mercy.
But that one, and then seeing like, Mongol is fantastic. In it.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
just such a son of a bitch.
Damn,
His dialogue's really, really great. He's
Jacked
talking
up
so
fucking
much
teeth.
shit. Yeah, oh yeah.
Big as fuck.
When they
yeah.
put it on him, he's like smiling, and there's people screaming. You hear like people screaming in his head.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I'll add to that, Ed, because there's another really good Superman episode where he kind of goes, off the hinges as well, or at least, out of control. But when he ends up fighting Captain Marvel in season 2, it's the episode where Lex Luthor is breaking ground on like a new apartment kind of complex or something like that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And Superman uses X-ray vision. He thinks there's a bomb, but Lex is like, no, it's a power generator. And then Superman's not going to take the risk. Captain Marvel actually kind of sides with Lex, and there's like a giant fight. And it's the reason why Captain Marvel isn't in more of these episodes, because in that episode he's like, I don't really think I can be a part of this team.
What,
'cause,
that
like,
doesn't he say at the end? Like he's like, you guys were my heroes.
Yes.
I looked up to you.
Yeah, that's a
He's
good
like,
one,
after
too.
this
That's a good
shit,
episode.
I don't even want to be associated with you fucking collateral damage
At least
ass
there wasn't
motherfuckers.
people in it like Zack Snyder's Superman, where he kills like 1 million people in the
Man.
city.
well, that episode helps lead into the Cadmus arc, as it's famously
Right,
known.
right.
There's it's comprised of I think 4 main episodes, but there's a lot of episodes that kind of like lead itself or lend itself into it. But the 4-part stretch of, I think the episode titles are The Question, Authority, Flashpoint, Panic in the Sky, and Divided We Fall, make up the main Cadmus arc. Which when you think about that story arc, they were essentially talking about the Justice League as like this superhero police team and how much control they really, very heavy like political overtones
that's when they
and things like that.
Like found out that the Watchtower had that death
Yep.
beam, and they're like, "You got a death beam up there?" It's like, yeah, why not?
yeah.
You sons of bitches.
And that that
It
ends
was
up
Batman's idea.
Yeah.
It was Batman's idea.
and that ends
I
up
don't have
leading them.
superpowers. What do you want me to do?
I need a death beam. But that ends up them into fighting not only Lex Luthor but also like Amanda Waller and et cetera, et cetera. But it made me think how they were doing Avengers Civil War, you know, at a I think at a very rudimentary level, well before even the comic book, because the Civil War comic book series, which kind of deals in similar tones and themes, didn't come out in 2006, and you know, the movie much later. But I would honestly put that story arc up against any, not only comic book story arc, but also comic book movie story arc. Like it's a very well written story arc. Like I said, that, and Ed, to your point, like there's a lot of adult themes, and I think that's why my dad was really into it, because
Didn't it come on primetime? It didn't come on in the afternoon.
No, yeah,
It came on like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night. Like that's
right.
that ain't adult program. I mean, that's not kid time slot. That's prime time.
And as far as like the writers go, you know, we brought up Dwayne McDuffie, you know, his fingerprints all over this show, but I know Gail Simone had the opportunity to write, I think, the episode Double Date with Black Canary and Green Arrow and Question and Huntress.
Boy,
I mean,
that's funny.
you know, and then you know, even you brought up Darwin Cook.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, a lot of like the DC comic book architects, as well as the architects for some of the other DC animated shows, animated universe, were heavily involved in this. Did you guys learn any interesting trivia or behind the scenes as you guys were doing like research into this show that maybe you didn't know originally? Because one that kind of piqued my interest was the quote unquote Batman embargo.
All the rights and stuff.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
And I remember as a kid thinking like, oh, you know, yeah, they must not want to include like a bunch of characters from one specific character, but I didn't know that it was a little more formal than that.
Yeah, and that's weird because that went with the live action too, because they couldn't put Suicide Squad. They had a thing with Deathstroke not wanting to be in. It's such a weird, because you think it's all under the same umbrella, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I can understand like characters like Blue Beetle, you know, that have kind of questionable who has the actual rights to these people, but when you're under the same umbrella, it's strange to kind of say, well, Vertigo, you can't use the Spectre or Swamp Thing because, you know, Vertigo people. You can't use this because we're doing a live-action Aquaman show. Did you ever see the pilot for that?
No, I never did.
It's a spin-off of Smallville?
You're talking about Mercy Reef, and yes, I have seen it.
Oh, boy. So
Yes.
that's why Aquaman was kind of taken out of the last season. So it's so weird that it's like, aren't you guys on the same team?
Yeah.
You know?
And for anyone not aware, that the Bat embargo was the term used for the decision to limit or ban the use of Batman-related characters from any media source outside of the new Dark Knight trilogy movie franchise, which around this time had just started, you know, 2005. But then also,
you can use Clock King.
yeah, you got to use like some very fucking obscure characters. But between like the Dark Knight trilogy as well as the launch or the beginning of the Batman animated series, I think I think the only name I found associated with this embargo was Paul Levitz, but I don't know if that was like concrete. But essentially, it was, hey, we don't want to confuse our viewers about the different Batman, you know, having multiple Batman characters.
He was in the cartoon. Wait a minute.
Did you have
Yeah, no, I was going to say that there was a Justice League show before this one. It was just titled Justice League, and I know during that series, a lot of people were requesting that Green Arrow.
Yeah, that was surprising.
There, right?
A lot by.
And because of that, he appears in the very first episode. Like he's literally the first character you see because of that. So it was kind of
Really?
it was neat to see that they listened.
Yeah, because it was like they were saying that he was like one of the most requested people, which is surprising to me. But there was like. They say there was kind of like a resurgence of him because of Identity Crisis, the role he plays in that. And then Kevin Smith was doing the
Quiver.
Yeah, Quiver.
Yep.
So that kind of got him back on the radar. And yeah, he was, out of all the DC people you'd think people would request, I would not. But this is before Arrow was out, too. Yeah, so this is like that was a really surprising thing to read.
So here's some interesting trivia. There are a few characters that they weren't allowed to appear on the show, and they include Blue Beetle, Firestorm, Black Lightning, the Spectre, and the Phantom Stranger. This is all due to rights issues.
Yeah.
They made them off limits.
That was like the Charlton comics for like Blue Beetle.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah. Dang.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
those were still kind of nebulous. Because like, remember when? This is kind of time too where I think before, I don't know if it was before Warner Brothers, but how Marvel licensed out all the like why Spider-Man is in Sony, why. You know, like all these rights were still floating. There's kind of a similar, on a way lesser scale with those characters.
You know, speaking about fan favorite characters, if Green Arrow represented the character that fans clamored for to get into the show, Jon Stewart ended up being a character that, because of the show,
Oh, yeah.
was revived in the comic books much later.
How many people's Green Lanterns is that? More
Right.
kids watched the show than read the comic.
Right.
You know, he's like that generation growing up, and that's your Green Lantern. Green Lantern's John Stewart.
Right.
I still read John Stewart and Phil Lamar's voice in the comic books. Like,
Yeah.
to this day. Like I love
Yeah,
like
it's
how
not
his
Hal
eyes.
Jordan. It's like-
Shayera.
yeah, it's not Hal Jordan. He's most this generation's Green Lantern because they see him on the cartoon.
Yeah, thanks to the cartoon, it definitely gave DC a chance, or the reason, an excuse to bring him like more dominant or predominant in the comic books. And speaking about like the different characters and whatnot, this first episode, Initiation, I think boasts about 50 to 58 characters in this one episode, between like the different scenes where they're kind of showcasing the all of them sitting together and whatnot. But I was curious, what are some of the characters that showed up in this episode that you noticed, or maybe some of your
I got a
personal
list.
favorites?
Yeah.
Do you want to go?
No, I only have one that makes me laugh, and that's
Okay.
it.
Well, some of the ones that I like are Etrigan was in there.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Zatanna, Steel, Captain Atom, of course. Well, he's in the episode. Metamorpho, Red Tornado, Stargirl, and Stripe.
Right.
That was pretty awesome. Wildcat, Mr. Terrific.
God, that's so cool.
Jesus Christ. Hawk and Dove. That's awesome.
Ashley, what about you? Any characters that piqued your interest that you saw?
I really like the Hot Girl, especially the design.
Mhm.
I have like a little PVC figure of that I bought online.
Nice. Nice.
And like Zatanna, like she
Oh,
was
that
in
was awesome.
my favorite episode, the one where Wonder Woman gets turned into the pig.
That's a great one.
Yeah. So like her and Batman together was really good.
And for some reason, I remember my dad trying to make us think Wildcat was a bigger deal than he really is.
Because
Like,
Wildcat's fucking sweet, man.
he is pretty sweet. He was. He,
Grizzled boxer.
Ted Cord.
Cat
Not
outfit.
Ted Cord. Ted. Fuck, what's his name? Come on, someone.
Ted shit.
All right, all of you.
Bundy?
Right, would you
Yeah.
go ahead?
Oh, what is it? Not Grant. No, it's not Ted.
No, actually,
No, it is.
I
It's
think
something
it
like
is
that.
Ted Grant.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on.
He is a. I mean, he wasn't he? I'm getting confused. Wasn't he relegated to like the trainer?
Ed, you were 100% right. It is Ted Grant.
Oh shit!
Yes, Ted Grant.
You won a no prize.
Nice. Wasn't he like designated as like the trainer, like the hand-to-hand combat
Yes.
guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Bill Finger creation. God damn it.
Yes.
My dad was, when he showed up in this cartoon, he was all about it.
Well, it's such a cool visual, and they kept his costume just
Yeah.
comic perfect. It was like, oh, that's awesome.
In this first episode, Wave Rider shows up. He's a dude that was like all golden. He looked like he had flames behind him.
Right, yeah.
Which he's like kind of one of them like characters that's got like a OP kind of power set. He can control like the time stream and shit. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, what are you even doing here? You
You
know?
don't need a job.
He's like, no one can see me. He's like, I'm invisible. I'm outside of time.
But you know, when you think, about the entirety of the DC animated universe, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a lot of characters that didn't show up. Now, granted, C just named off 5 or 6 of them. I had no idea it didn't show up, and we're saying they didn't show up in the entire DCAU in any capacity. I think that might be safe to
No,
say.
just for Bruce Timm's universe.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
they
saying.
did
Like, just for the
they've
show.
done Spectre shorts. And
Yeah.
Okay.
Batman Brave and the Bold. Blue Beetle shows up.
And they did a Spectre, I forgot, it was like a 15-minute.
Yeah. With fucking, God damn
It
it.
was kind of like a Grindhouse. They did it kind of like a Grindhouse horror.
He
Yeah,
did, it's the guy. It's in Office Space. He's the boss. I'm blanking right now.
Oh, that's
the
right.
guy that plays Bill Lumberg. He's the voice of the Spectre.
That's hilarious.
It's awesome, but it's like a 70s whodunit.
Now, do
Yeah.
you do you guys consider the DC animated universe everything, including Bruce Timm properties as well? Because I know some people delineate it between the Bruce Timm universe and then DC animated in general.
Well, not anymore.
yeah.
Especially since Bruce Timm is the executive producer on all those cartoons.
Yeah. He's kind of
like
that's just all his his fingerprints are all over everything
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Well, I was surprised that Deathstroke hasn't made his DCAU appearance until just recently. For the recent
cartoon,
Did you
Knights
watch
and
it?
Dragons?
the comic book.
oh,
Batman: The Adventures Continue, number 3, that came out it's a relatively new title. They're crediting that as Deathstroke's first appearance, and that's like I said, the Adventures Continue is new comic book series, much like this Justice League Infinity, that continues from the Batman animated series. So they're using that series to kind of like introduce a lot of characters.
So they don't count the Teen Titans.
Well, I think that's what I'm getting at, is that, there is a delineation between the two. Like folks that only look at Bruce Timm's universe and then everything else. But I mean, C does bring up a good point. Bruce Timm is now in charge of everything. So,
I guess, like as an artist who gives a shit, because Bruce Timm's still attached to all of it. So technically it's all Bruce Timmiverse.
I guess, but if technically, stylistically.
I think that's what a lot of people
from Batman to Justice League.
Sure, from a style perspective, Bruce Timm has a unique style.
If it looks like he drew it, then that's kind of his own thing.
Exactly.
Titans, it's its own thing.
Right.
And the movies are their own thing.
The movies are their own thing. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I guess the better question would have been, what characters hasn't been portrayed in the DC animated universe done
Bruce
in
Timm's
Bruce Timm's style, which I think you can start.
Yes, he has. In Harley Quinn and Batman, Swamp Thing shows up.
Wasn't Mark Hamill the voice?
He's
and
the
it was
voice of the
really
trickster.
He was the voice of Swamp Thing in something I watched, and it
Really?
was really weird.
That is weird.
Like it did not fit.
No, I don't
It was
see
something
that.
in the universe. I just can't remember what it was.
It's me, Swamp Thing. Don't you remember?
If Mark Hamill just did the Joker voice every
Or it's like
appearance-
Mark Hamill speaking.
Hi, it's me, Mark Hamill. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but it's me, Swamp Thing.
Have they ever done like any of the Sergeant Rock characters in Bruce Timm style? I think.
Yes, they have.
I love that. So you can answer all of these.
They have referenced Sergeant Rock, and they reference Haunted Tank as well.
Oh, Haunted Tank.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's like blink and you miss it.
I loved Haunted Tank. Did you ever?
They
see
reference Commandy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Commandy.
Yes, because Bruce Timm's got a boner for Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
That like he's gonna throw him in there as often as he can. It's like if they'll be like say like again, I can't remember, but it's always like something, like Darkseid will be like, for eons I have been watching everyone. And then like it'll be like it'll show a montage of like throughout time and space. And you'll see like maybe Commandy with some like animal people running around. You'll be like, oh shit, there he goes real quick. It's like throughout all of your history. And it'll be like Sergeant Rock going like, yeah, like brrr, like lighting people up.
I'm trying to think what hasn't been in Bruce Timm. I can't think. He's done a lot of deep cuts.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's why that Deathstroke appearance was not only a big deal, but they also recently did an action figure of that Bruce Timm style
that's
Deathstroke,
shocking
and it's hella sold
never
out.
Been in one.
Exactly, I was pretty interested by that. So I'm curious what other characters, if I was to really do a deep dive, haven't been done in that style. But I wanted to shift our conversation to talking about this new comic series, Justice League Infinity. Like I said, that's being written by not only the showrunner of the show, but also J.M. DeMatteis. Thank you so much. Which is supposed to serve as a continuation from Justice League United after the season ended in season 3, episode 13, with that Darkseid episode.
I was like way too excited to see Granny Goodness show up.
Yes.
Like as soon as her panel popped up, I was like, yes. So it was. I liked it a lot.
And I think it's pretty safe to say they're trying to mimic and use that same Bruce Timm style
super
in
clean.
this.
Yeah.
Ed, what did you think about the execution?
I thought it looks great. It's super clean. Like I said, you know what's going on. It's well laid out. Like the story goes back and forth. There's like 2 or 3 different kind of plots going on at once.
Yeah.
Like with the gold guy, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you got
Amazo.
Amazo. Oh, great name. Amazo, which that's fine. When I did like the Martian Manhunter, where he's basically becoming different people, racially profiling.
Sure. He's very Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah.
Very Ziggy Stardust.
And I just like the there's such funny little things that kind of like running gags, like the Booster Gold with the cake gag, where he's holding onto the cake, and then the parademons are fighting. He's still holding onto the cake, and you see like elongated man's finger coming in while they're fighting to the death. Yeah, just it's really clean, easy to understand, well laid out. I really like the artwork. The coloring is simple. There's some texture to it, but it's not overdone.
The eyes are very animated too.
Yeah.
I think they nailed the body designs really well, but I think where it differentiates itself is in the way the eyes are drawn. They're a lot more animated.
There's a lot of great
kind of
expressions.
Yes, thank you.
Like the surprise party page and Batman's still in a bad mood.
Yeah, I think Nick Filardi did a really good job on the coloring because some of those panels are just like packed.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of hard to separate all that out.
It's deceptively simple, but because there's a lot of going on, especially that one kind of Ditko page where Amazo is going in all the Twilight Zone, the big door and the Kirby crackle and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And,
this interpretation of the League actually introduces 3 new members that have made that did make an appearance or cameo in the actual cartoon, but Mr. Miracle and Big Barda. Yeah. But Ed, to your point, this first issue does pick up a story arc from the cartoon for Martian Manhunter, where he does end up leaving the League. He's I think he says in the cartoon, "I'm relocating to China." He's going to be disguised as a regular human,
unnamed Asian country.
But also the Mazo is a continuation from the cartoon because he does end up leaving Earth because he becomes self-aware and realizes that he poses a much bigger threat than if he was to stay or whatnot. So it does seem to be like a very seamless transition and continuation. And I would personally recommend it to any fans of the cartoon because it just kind of makes sense. You've got folks that, put their blood, sweat, and tears into the original cartoon that probably had a hand in helping.
And it's only 7 issues, so the commitment is not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley, would you say the comic respected your time?
Yeah, it definitely did. This would be something that I'd wait for it to come out like in a trade form and then read all of it. Yeah, it'd be fun to have.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. That my only gripe with it is the pacing is way too fast, and that's one thing that the show did not have a problem with. I mean, granted, the half-hour 3-act structure show. Maybe they have more time, but to let it breathe and have more character development. But this just seemed way too and then this happened, and then this happened. It seemed like a couple people playing with a bunch of action figures, and they just threw them all at each other.
But that's like a modern comic issue beyond this title because it's a number 1. You want to look at this and this.
Well, that's
and
why
this,
I'm
and
saying
this.
if it's a trade, I will enjoy it a lot better because it's like, okay, here's the inciting incident, no problem.
Got it.
I don't think Martian Manhunter's characterization is good in this because they kind of defeat the point of Martian Manhunter is that he works best as a guy who is one fish out of water, but fish out of water trying to be the same reason that the way that Cap is antiquated, like he's like Captain America is like this antiquated guy who's like man out of time. Martian Manhunter is not only out of time, he's out of fucking space. And I think the best representation, which also kind of counts as Bruce Timm because he's the executive producer, but was Justice League New Frontier. When he shows up on Earth and he's watching TV and he's morphs.
Yeah.
Well, not only he morphs, they have enough presence of mind to morph him. He morphs into basically a hard-nosed sort of like Raymond Chandler type detective, but he's still in black and white, which is perfect. And then he has to consciously be like, oh, right, there aren't people on this earth that are black and white, like a television screen. And then he just like assumes a more human form. Mm-hmm. Perfect. That you would have a guy who's walking around. Like I just almost imagine everybody at the precinct. Imagine like a completely modern police department, maybe in New York, everybody going, God damn, that new guy looks a lot like Humphrey Bogart. Holy shit. Did anybody think about that? Like, he really looks like him. Anybody know? Whatever. Maybe it's just me.
He's a good cop. What are you going to do?
Right. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, and he's always fucking spotless record. Like, that sort of shit is what makes Martian Manhunter interesting. I don't give a fuck about him in India or China.
Yeah, that threw me
or
off
him
too.
Like being like, I need to make sure this old ass motherfucker that I don't even know. Like, he's not the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
The Silver Surfer, that's a Silver Surfer move, is for him to go out amongst the people and be like, I am like a Christ-like figure and I'm trying to be one of you while understanding humanity. Like, no, Martian Manhunter's like, fucking, I gotta get my man. It was 4 a.m. and the rain was coming down like gobs of oatmeal. That's when she walked in. You know, like, it's like perfect. That's who he is. So I get it. Yeah, within the construct of that universe, fine.
Yeah,
no problem.
Makes sense.
But good comic. I'd recommend it 100%. I would say it definitely fills in that gap of your Justice League.
I think had I watched this cartoon sooner or had a better or at least in the Justice Lords episode, that last page would have been a little more impactful. I kind of like seeing Superman in that other outfit.
I
was
didn't
like,
recognize that at first.
who's that again?
Also, the Justice Lords episodes didn't. To quote Shania Twain, they didn't impress me much. Just because it's kind of like they resolved it. Like it's like, why are we going back again?
Was that the one where they were lobotomizing people?
No.
Was that a different?
No.
That's just the one where they just took over. Period.
That was a Superman, the animated series. He was doing that shit, and like Lex Luthor was part of a freedom fighter group.
Yeah. Oh, I just get because they're kind of in that style. Like, because there's one I thought it was the Justice Lords where Arkham Asylum, they're all lobotomized.
That's awesome.
Basically, like Poison Ivy's gardening. It's like, oh, hi. I'm just cleaning a garden.
Jesus Christ.
And they're like, oh, God, what's going on here? I don't remember. That might have been like a standalone
to be honest,
movie.
I have a hard time keeping track of
design.
like the evil analog versions of like.
I like the Crime Syndicate. Those are my favorite.
Okay. Well, that's funny because they're completely
Kryptonite, and he's like using it as coke. Like,
they're so fucking colorful, and they're so not like Superman's like, hey, how you doing? He's like Tony Soprano. Johnny Quick is a fucking drug addict.
When I first read them in Forever Evil, like when they came, he'd like fly to everywhere that had kryptonite, and he was like snorting it like cocaine.
It's awesome.
Oh, it's fantastic.
What do you guys think about the comic adaptations of some of these Bruce Timm universe shows? Like I know the one that comes to mind is
the Batman Adventures.
The Batman Adventures, right?
Good
with
for
Ty
kids.
Templeton.
Good for kids.
They're fun. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
They're well executed, and they serve their purpose, and they're fun. If you don't want anything deeper than that, some of them I don't think quite match even what the shows do, but they're well done. They always get the artist that fits that style.
Right.
It's, like I said, I think they're redoing the Batman Adventures now, the animated series.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a market for it. It's smart to have it.
They're gateway drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Gateway drugs.
You know what? Yeah, those would probably be perfect for a kid. I wanted to go back to this episode 1, and I think all of these episodes just do a good job of, even if you don't end up watching the rest of the season or rest of the series, if you were to watch, kind of cherry pick certain episodes, they fulfill like the need. Straightforward narrative. To me, it really feels like a classic comic book story from like the 70s. Yeah. Like, one issue will give you everything you need. Excellent writing, of course. Good character arcs all in one. I mean, it's like a 22-minute show.
Here's the thing. It's prestige television before prestige television was coming out, but it didn't get credit for being on board because it was animated. Yeah. Right? So everybody's like Breaking Bad, Mad Men. Yeah. But Bruce Timm was doing this shit animating as a cartoon years before those shows came out, So it's interesting to think about how many other shows maybe don't get lumped in with like really good TV just because they don't have the luxury of being a part of a mainstream type of medium that people consume. And that's my mic.
Suck all the air out of the room.
Sorry, guys.
Even like looking at Green Arrow's like character arc in this one episode, in 22 minutes you get from him being very anti like League, I only want to fight for the little guy, to he ends up finding himself in a position of fighting the big monsters he was reluctant to fight in the beginning.
And even Batman's like, I thought you didn't give a shit. He's like, hey there, monster killer. He's like, it's like you keep us in line. And that line was like, you don't have any powers either, Batman. What do you mean keep us in line? It should be like me and you need to keep these assholes in line.
Exactly. But I thought this first episode, and especially now knowing that they brought Green Arrow, it was a conscious decision to use Green Arrow to not only, fan service, but I think it also sets the precedent that even minor characters will play a big role throughout the season, with very interesting character dynamics. Because, you look at this team, Green Lantern and Green Arrow make sense. But then you throw in Supergirl, who's like the young...
brash. Yeah.
Exactly, young, brash family member. And then Captain Atom, the very rigid, like, military member. I thought it made for a really cool, like, group dynamic.
And that's what's cool is you can... And that's even, like, when they start, like, Martian Manhunters. Okay, this is a nuclear issue. Bring Captain Atom, Green Lantern. She needs experience, and then Green Arrow's just like, hey, I need a ride home. I don't want to do that Star Trek bullshit, So he wasn't even like involved in this, but he gets involved and he comes up with the plan. And it's like, I thought you didn't care, and he can't help it. And the fact that he's the one that defeats the giant, nuclear monster, which conveniently had the off switch right below his face,
right?
But the fact that a normal guy defeated what Captain Atom couldn't do, and what Green Lantern could do, and what Supergirl couldn't do.
For the record, they did my boy Green Lantern super dirty. I mean,
He even ripped his clothes off.
yo, what?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like,
Come on, man.
I was like, yo, one blast, and my man Green Lantern is not
Naked.
only naked, but he's in the ICU.
Yeah.
Like, what?
For the
He's
rest
got-
of the episode.
He's got, and it's weird because you're right, because he has like welts and burn marks, and Green Lantern's like,
Why didn't
he got nothing. He just takes a shower. He's fine.
Oh, Green Arrow, yeah.
Or
With
Green
his
Arrow,
mask on
sorry,
for the
yeah.
record, too. I'm like, oh,
His mask doesn't melt to his face. He's in direct fire the whole time.
And,
Yeah.
and I know this is a shtick they play to death when it comes to Captain Atom. The whole my containment suit is cracked. I'm gonna explode.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. I still fuck with. I still love it every time because I
You're
think
like,
somebody
Well,
needs to do something about
Well,
the
that's
suit?
I think that's a nod to like Kingdom Come, because that's what
Yeah.
causes the fallout where
yeah.
the Midwest gets destroyed because someone
Mhm.
cuts Captain Atom's suit. And
Jesus.
so yeah, they contain. I love the suit where he does the thumbs up and the.
yeah, but I think overall it was fun to like revisit this first episode. I thought the comic was a nice addition to it as well,
My favorite cameo is, of course, Black Canary.
dude.
Oh.
My
Yeah.
favorite. Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
my
I don't know
favorite
about
cameo.
the team. Hello.
Right. Well, that's it's not. She's just a piece of cheesecake. Like
Oh,
that's
that
his
was so
that's his future
Even-
wife.
Yeah, even
know,
like the stocking, that trope, pulling up the
It,
boots,
right.
you
It
know?
would be. It is definitely like a
Humana, humana,
ooga,
humana,
you
humana.
know? But like anyone that knows that the League is not only good for Green Arrow because you see his character develop, but it also gave him a chance to basically he met his wife through
Yeah.
through doing this, right? So like his life is symbolically and like physically better for joining the League. He just doesn't, and he doesn't even know it yet. So
Yeah. and
that's why I liked it.
I think there's a bit with Green Arrow. I might be looking too much into this, but you can kind of see where there's the bravado of I'm just helping the little guys, but there's also that imposter syndrome. It's like, what am I doing with these guys? Like
Right.
gods,
Right.
what can I do to? Why am I here? We're fighting monsters and demons and space cosmic things. I'm just a guy with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think him and such a great building up that character. And even though he had a resurgence in popularity, you're introducing a new character to a bigger audience that may not know Green Arrow. And it's like, oh, you put him on the level with like the main seven.
Yeah.
in one episode.
Yeah.
which
Get
is
him out of
awesome.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's human. Get him out of there.
And I think they repeat that formula a few times throughout these 3 seasons, like taking these very obscure characters that if they hadn't been on the small screen, I don't think a lot of fans would have kind of really. I know, like I said, for me, this show served as an opportunity to learn about characters I would not have been able to kind of do on my own.
Where would you have seen Mr. Terrific?
Probably a Black History Month like special, DC special. But I mean, even Vixen,
Vixen,
I mean, the opportunity to see a diverse cast, not only like small characters and power set, but also a diverse cast of characters. I mean, it sounds kind of cheesy, but I do remember thinking like, wow, there's a lot of Black heroes on this team. And not only just Black heroes, but like heroes from different ethnicities, like on this team that outside of the Justice Friends, I hadn't seen in cartoons, at least in a superhero cartoon.
They got
like
a
that.
fucking. What is it? Is it Jade? What's her name?
With
Fire?
the Wonder Twins?
No.
Oh, the green.
With the green hair.
Yeah, yeah.
She's like fucking Brazilian.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like she rolls up in there, and who is it that likes her? Is it Flash? I think it's the
I think
Flash.
it's Flash.
Later on, ends up kind of getting they have a thing, and he's all like, he's all like, gee golly, like all like
Wait a
embarrassed.
minute. Doesn't Flash have a girlfriend?
This is Wally, not Barry.
Oh, that's right. Because they don't specify
that dog,
that until later.
right? Fast dog,
okay.
you. But and throughout, I mean, even when you look at the other relationships, they establish like that Batman Wonder Woman relationship in this show. Well, I
They
mean,
sure
they
do.
continue it from Justice League, but they touch on that. You got Black Canary and Green Arrow. I mean, hell, they go on a fucking date together later on, so it does pay off from this first episode later on.
My favorite episode is Date Night with the
Yeah.
Question and Huntress.
Question and
Yeah.
Huntress
What a
together.
weird
That was
couple.
badass.
Great.
Written by Gail Simone at that.
Great
Can we not
episode.
watch Fox News tonight? That's a question.
Yeah. Extremely.
He's like, joke's on you. I've been watching Al Jazeera.
Oh man! So Trey, I wanted to thank you again for giving us this suggestion. I want to go ahead and close this episode out. Does anyone have any closing remarks, whether it be about the cartoon in general or the comic book?
I think that that's such a great first episode to start with Green Arrow, and even starting it in just such a, comparatively speaking to what the Justice League fights, a simple robbery with mask guys rather than, Darkseid and Parademons. You basically start on this level and then you go up to giant robot, nuclear Ghost Rider looking thing. So I just thought, like I said, just really establishing Green Arrow in one episode right off the bat, having him go through from point A to point B, having such a great arc.
Absolutely.
Just in one episode. That's hard to do. So I just think this is such a great launching point. And then for me, seeing all those characters just in one group together, that's like when the Justice League first came out, because they're like the first super group in comics. When they first had like Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman together, people lost their mind. It's like, holy shit, they're in the same world. And then seeing that times, 50 with all these different people, and just growing up reading about all these C and D list characters, because, I got those cheapo comics, with all those D list characters. It's such a great episode. It's probably my favorite series. So
damn, well said.
I was going to say, if also you don't know anything about the DC universe, this is a perfect primer. Like,
100%.
if you don't know anything about DC Comics in general, you get the mainstream players, and like Ed said, you get like some of these D-listers, but they're also super important because if you read the comics, they show up a lot. So you end up, and that's why this little comic is important, right? Like this first one that we read is, despite my criticisms, I mean, it's only that. It's just criticism. And the end of the day, I did enjoy it. I like it. And for the reason that I just mentioned, like it's a gateway drug. Like if you don't know anything about DC, here you go. Here's a comic. And if you like that, if this jazzed you, fucking jump on the cartoon, because the cartoon's just as good, if not better. So it's a wonderful way for you to just be like, every episode, you're like, cool. Okay. This little weird witch boy named Clarion is evil, and Jack Kirby made him up, but you won't know that until you do more research. And shit, his bad guy is Jason Blood, Etrigan. Like, oh, okay, is Tana showing up? Why is she showing up? Well, she's a magic user. Oh, fuck. Okay, cool. Well, then she should be teaming up with, Etrigan's already in this
Dr.
episode.
Fate.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Fate,
right.
Oh.
Everybody. And then you learn about Faust, and you learn about all these other characters, and you're like, shit, like, I have a pretty working knowledge of the DC universe because of this.
It's not just Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman.
Right,
There's a whole world of different characters, from different aesthetics.
And I feel like they only use, the big three when the story justifies. Because when they bring in the big three, it's like, a kind of a big, and there's a lot of big like moments in this cartoon that feel like, the stakes are high. We need to bring in like the big guns. This is in a way slightly connected, but it doesn't feel daunting, right? Like they can. I brought up, DC animated universe, like how some folks look at the Timverse as its own thing. So I mean, if you think about it, the Timverse would have began as early as Batman the animated series, continued on with the Superman animated series, Batman Beyond, Justice League, and then now JLU. But you can enjoy each one of them without being, lost because of continuity or cross. Like when they cross over, it makes sense and it's fun.
That's kind of the one thing I think that DC does better than Marvel as far as their universe being connected, right? Because Marvel's whole gimmick was, yo, we're fucking connected. It's the universe. It's all connected, right? Everybody knows everybody. It's fucking connected. We're connected. The Marvel universe, which is awesome. But at the same time, if you lean too hard into that, you're going to start asking questions like, why the fuck is Wolverine on every team? Like, what are these people doing their off time or whatever? Like, you can't have...
Put yourself in a corner.
Yeah, you can't have a big universe. In fact, it makes the universe smaller if you lean hard into everyone's connected. What makes the universe larger is when you let it breathe and you have these little stories where, like, you know what? Dr. Fate, like, who knows? He's such a weird looking guy. I don't know anything about him. What makes him tick? But if you get a good writer to jump on and do just a regular ass one-shot Doctor Strange episode of this cartoon or whatever, you'd be like, shit, that's kind of cool. Now I know more. Now you feel like, damn, the world is bigger now, as opposed to you didn't need to have Dr. Fate show up with Superman or Dr. Fate show up with whatever. Like I think that's something that Botter touched on, is like everybody's saying connected universe, shared universe. The more you do that, the more you close in on everything, and it makes everything's smaller.
And
You're
it's
doing
hard
the opposite of world building.
And it's hard to bring in new things.
Right.
you know?
And when you do, people look at it cynically and they just say, "Oh,
why weren't they
okay."
there with Thanos?
Right.
Ashley, I wanted to actually go to you to wrap us up because this is now episode 8 of Pilot's License. We've covered a wide range of comic book cartoons. I want to know, out of all the ones that we've done so far, recently we just did Gargoyles, Spawn before that,
Turtles.
TMNT, et cetera, et cetera. Where does this one kind of fall? Where does JLU fall in your list of really good ones so far?
So
Or favorites?
I'm going to put this at number 1 because this is the only one I've seen every episode of.
Awesome.
So I think I can really like appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, followed, Batman's right there behind it because I'm still going through those episodes. But
That
yeah,
is awesome that
this one's
you've
really good.
continued that.
Yeah. Every now and again, I'll just watch like 1 or 2.
Awesome.
Yeah, HBO Max is great.
You know what? I was going to say, I'm so glad I actually got to use HBO Max. And being able to see all the, the DC hub, the fact that it's got its own dedicated DC hub, and it really does have everything from the DC universe. It's really nice. But I think we are at a good stopping point, so I'll go ahead and say it. There you have it, Shortbox Nation. That is our episode for today. Thank you for being a Patreon subscriber, because thanks to your support and contributions, aka your fucking money, we're able to keep the lights on here at the Shortbox Studio and create bonus content like Pilot's License. So thank you so much. Big shout outs to Trey Namo for some great recommendations. And like I said at the intro, we'll be covering more of these classic WB cartoons going forward. Batman Beyond will be the next one up. But in the meantime, let us know about your first exposure to Justice League Unlimited. Let us know if you got some favorite episodes or a favorite character that showed up among the 3 seasons. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and we always welcome your emails. Write us something short and sweet and send it to our inbox at theshortboxjacks@gmail.com. In the meantime, Shortbox patrons, thanks for tuning in. Take care of yourselves and continue to make mine and yours Shortbox. Peace.